Hi, welcome back to another episode of Finances and Fiancé. Today's topic we're going to talk about is the best time to move out. So, personally, I think it's really dependent on your living situation, family situation, if you have significant other, if you have friends that you're living with. But we'll go into about our own specific situations. As for me, I moved out when I was 27 years old. I was working for about 4 years at that time, and I wanted to move on to my next job, which is about a lot further, about 30 miles, and on the west side, all the way in Santa Monica. So I knew that that was not commutable. And at that time, Stephen was also living in Santa Monica. So I thought this was a perfect chance for us to move out, see if we were good roommates. We were able to cohabitate and eventually see if we could eventually get engaged. This was like the test for our relationship. Would you say that?
Yeah, moving in together is a huge first step because the way I see it is when you live separately from your boyfriend, girlfriend, or significant other, is when you see each other, you're kind of like on your best behavior. Like it's kind of like vacation mode and fun mode. Like when I would visit Christine, or Christine would visit me, we knew that we're energized, we're pumped up for this. So it's a different mentality. But when you live together, you see each other at your best and also at your worst.
Yeah, and
Right.
when you're just like visiting each other, you're not like cleaning, you're not like washing the
Yeah.
dishes, doing the washing the clothes. It's just like all fun and games.
Yeah, it's
You're not
all
doing chores.
yeah, it's all fun and games. And once you're living together now, like chores become split, and each person has their different nuances. Like Christine wants the dishes washed all the time, right? And for me, I was okay letting it sit for a day or two. Um, or for me, I like the shower to not have hair in it. And then when you live with girls, obviously there's gonna be some hair in there, like on a wad, right? So it was kind of our big first test, and obviously there was some conflict in the beginning, but kind of looking back, it is a lot of small petty stuff, to be honest. But kind of taking a step back is so for me, I moved out at around 27 years old as well, and I kind of mentioned it in another episode, but it's very common in the Asian American community that after you graduate from pharmacy school or you're getting your first job, it's very normal to live at home, assuming that your job is near your hometown.
Yeah, I still have a lot of friends, family that they're in their 30s and still living at home, and that's perfectly normal. They have a great relationship with their family, and they make it work.
Yeah, so obviously there's a huge pro in living at home, right? Because number one is obviously rent's your biggest expense here. It's a finance channel, right? So if you can not have rent, it helps you save up for a down payment on a house. It helps you pay off your student loans, and it helped me and Christine do both, right? Like we paid off, I think, over $40,000 of student debt, and then we saved up for our first houses um, by living at home.
Yeah, I'm extremely grateful for my parents for allowing me to stay at home rent free so that we could have a leg up on our life.
Exactly. And they take care of the food for you, so they pack our lunches. You don't have to worry about dinner, cleaning. They just want you to focus on your job and to do good at your job and to
Mhm.
acclimate to your job so that you have a stable kind of upbringing for the rest of your life. So I think because Christine and I leveraged that, I definitely got us way further ahead financially compared to like our other peers. And we're fortunate that our parents allowed us to do this, and we were able to get jobs in areas that allowed us to live at home. And we didn't have and some families are like, no, you can't live with us, right? But we never had that, which was great.
Or even if your parents are saying, "Oh, like pay me $1,000," and then maybe they can use that $1,000 as investment for your future, or they can give you as maybe for your wedding gift eventually down the road. Maybe you can work something out with your parents. I think that would be nice.
Yeah, so they could you could pay them, and then it's a subsidized rent in a way, right?
Hmm.
So it can kind of be a win-win situation there. But there's also a downside of living at home for too long. So I guess Christine, you can kind of talk about some downsides of living at home for too long based on what we've seen.
what I've seen from my peers, and even for me, is like there is a fine line of if your parents are helping you grow or if they are kind of negatively affecting that. So, in terms of, as for me, they really helped me grow in terms of my financials, helped me like build a leg up. They never restricted me on going out or anything. I never had a curfew, but at the same time, it was very comfortable. I had meals always ready for me. My mom packed me lunch, and I just kind of wanted the extra freedom. So I think that's what kind of led me to moving out.
Yeah, and for me, so it's kind of different dynamic between Asian, in Asian American families, if they're more traditional, they favor the guy typically over like the sister sibling. That's just kind of historically how it's been. But I think more modern parenting, it's pretty equal now. But if it's old school, Asian American family households where they immigrate here, the guy is usually favored. So like it's
Right.
almost like a double standard. The guy can be lazy and do nothing, but the girl might be expected to, cook around the house, clean, have a certain curfew, right? And it could be the same like parents in two different
Mm-hmm.
experiences between the guy and the girl. So for me, from the guy's perspective, is yeah, it was pretty lax. I had no curfew. I could do what I want whenever I wanted. And they were just kind of here to help support me. And the fact that I had a pharmacist job was like pretty much good enough for them that I could just do whatever I wanted to live my life. But yes, there does become a point where you kind of feel stagnant living at home,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no growth because your parents will treat you like a kid, right? They still see you as that like 2 year old kid, uh, or like 1 year old kid, and all those weird quirks that you used to have as a kid, even though now you're like, 27, 28. So for me, I moved out at 27, and when I moved out, it was to buy my first property that I used as a house hack. So I bought the house 10% down. It was $8,000 down, and I rented out the three other bedrooms because I was used to having roommates, to be honest, because I was living at home, right? It's like you're living with roommates at home. So, and I remember when I was going through that process of buying the house, my dad was like, literally, why leave the house? Like, you have it good. You're making good money. You have no expense. Your mom will take care of you. Like, why leave?
That's such an Asian thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but once again, it's that comfort and that stagnation. And when I did leave my house, that's when I exponentially grew because now I'm forced to like learn how to cook, forced to clean my house, forced to, manage tenants in my property, forced to be more responsible of my budgeting because now I have to pay a mortgage.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Asian households, the parents want you to move out only when you get married.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was also like a issue, also like a struggle. But luckily, our parents are more Americanized, and they want to see us grow. They want to see us improve and be independent for the most part.
Yeah. And the catch 22 with that is like, so in Asian American households, they'll take care of everything for you, right? Like all your food, all your cooking, all your cleaning, and all of a sudden, when you hit a certain age, like, why are you still at home, right?
Right.
And then at that
Or how
point,
come you don't have a house?
yeah, or how come you don't have a house? And then how come you know how to cook and how come you know how to clean? And I'm like, well, because it's been done by them the whole time. So that's where it gets kind of stagnant. Where I do have, I'm 34, and I do have like peers and friends where they still do live at home
Yeah, I have a
at,
lot of
at,
friends like
at
that.
34. And, I hate to say it, but I haven't seen much growth out of them. I haven't seen much maturity. And they just kind of felt like the same person who they were like back in high school or college.
It's just very comfortable, and there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that. It really depends on like how where you want to see yourself and how you see yourself like 5, 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can kind of tell from both our stories, the sweet spot I think for us was kind of moving out around 27. Basically, we had about 4 years to live at home to basically pay off our student debt. Right, I paid mine off in about 4 years, 250K in 4 years, and I think Christine about 150K in about 4 years.
As well. Yeah.
And then once I paid off my student debt, I was like, okay, like what is next? So for me, it was just buying a house, which is more organic, which sets me up to, then leave where my parents were. Like, how about you?
Yeah. As for me, like I had money for rent, but it also worked out that you were living in Santa Monica, so I did a boyfriend hack.
Yeah, yeah. So I house hacked and Christine boyfriend hacked. We lived in a small studio, 450 square foot studio
Mhm.
in Santa Monica, and it fit. I mean, we fit everything in there.
Yeah.
Um,
And because of that, I was able to like learn how to cook, learn how to clean, and just like take care of myself and Steven. We found out that we were compatible living each other. And 2 years later, after moving in together, we decided to get engaged. I think moving in together really allowed us to see that we're compatible as like life partners.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really so moving out early helped us not only like grow and mature, but then moving in together specifically got to see if our kind of we can coexist together, even on the bad days.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially before marriage.
Yeah. So hopefully you found some value and got some insight as to kind of the pros and cons and the best time of when to move out. If you're looking to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the link down below. Otherwise, please let us know if you have any questions. Love to hear your comments and answer your questions. Please like, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you next time.